Okay, we're on Project H. This is Math 122, and we're talking about SAGE. All right, so the bottom line is it's a summation typical level of difficulty that we give students in Calculus 2. And this is going to involve a partial fraction decomposition and then a collapsing sum, a telescoping series, by the way. So I put the work down here for you, and this is the work that students would be doing, expected to do if they were taking an exam or doing a homework question, the work they're expected to do. Right, so the goal here is I want to emphasize is to be able to use SAGE to verify that our work is correct. So we're saying the actual sum is equal to 1/4. All right. So what I want to do is use SAGE, right, as it's written down. Let me see if there's anything else to say about this. No, because of Project I next. So again, it's a reasonable problem. It's certainly in Math 122, reasonable to give students a sum like this, partial fraction decomposition, which you learned in Math 119. And then, certainly use this in Math 122 to break problems into problems that are more manageable. All right, and this is a good example of breaking this up into more manageable pieces. And again, it's a telescoping sum. Easy to come up with the sum. We do a partial sum, then take the limit as n goes to infinity, and it turns out to be 1/4. Anyway, let me go to SAGE, and I go to my terminal. Let me clear the screen, and I'm going to reset. And I want to, just scroll back over here, and I'm going to start. Well, let me go back over here. Define n as a variable. And then do the sum. All right, I'm going to copy paste, by the way, but I will read it to you. And my emphasis on this is to understand what you've read or typed. All right, so it says take the sum. And someone says, why are you using 1.0? All right. By the way, I want to change it, and I'm going to change it to 1. And I'm going to change this to 1. And I'm going to change this to 2. All right. So someone says, I wonder what this thing is. It's the sum. What's the sum going to be? We're taking the sum of 1 divided by n plus 1, divided by n plus 2. And someone says for n in, this is starting at 1, and it's supposed to go up to infinity, but I'm only going to 1,000. But let me show you what happens when I do this over here. Right, now someone says, I don't understand that number. And that's the whole reason I was using a decimal. Let me go back and use a decimal for you. Once I use a decimal in SAGE, whoops, I'm pretty much telling SAGE I want an approximate answer. In other words, do the arithmetic for me. And I'm getting that over there. Now, I could play around with this, for example. It did it pretty quick, by the way, if I wanted to go to 10,000, for example. All right? I think you get the idea. Let's say 100,000. Well, it took a little bit longer, but it's still coming up with a number. I think you get a pretty good idea where this number is going. All right? Pretty good idea where this number is going. Put another digit in there. Whoops, sorry about that. That's 1,000,000. It's actually doing 1,000,000 terms. Adding them together. Wow, look at that. All right, getting closer and closer and closer to what we expect to be, which is 1/4. All right, so this is an example of us, sort of like going through a numerical problem, and that's what I mean by this over here. I'm doing a numerical problem, and it's getting pretty close. All right, getting pretty close. All right, so I think that covers that. Again, I want to emphasize over here, please, your objective here is to do the work as emphasized in the course, paper and pencil. And someone says, well, why are you doing SAGE then? We're trying to get your feet wet using a computer algebra system. And it's just getting your feet wet, by the way. That's all you're doing. You're not really mastering this. And it really takes a lifetime to master any subject area. But SAGE really is quite an extensible language. All right? Hang in there, though. It's tough. Thank you so much for paying attention, though.